This episode of Test Drive is brought to you by Elmec and their EV Duty Smart Home Charger.
The Genesis GV60 has been in production since 2021, but as we roll into 2024, this will only be the second model year. There's not much that's changed for this year, but we're going to be going over that and everything else you need to know if you're in the market for this compact luxury crossover EV. I'm Niall, this is Test Drive, and let's hit the road. So this is the 2024 Genesis GV60 Performance all-wheel drive, currently the only trim for 2024 available here in Canada. In the States, the other ones are available, and for 23, you had a couple of choices as well. But for the most part, we're going to be talking about what's different with this and why you want to be considering it. We've driven the other vehicles that share the Hyundai Kia global EV platform, including the Kia EV6 and a Hyundai Ioniq 6. You can take a look at those videos. They'll be linked throughout this video as well as at the end. But this vehicle here is finished in Matterhorn white matte paint with the Torrent navy monotone interior. Now, I'm not a big fan of matte paints in general. It does look great, but it is harder to keep clean. The interior I really like. It is quite distinguished. Everybody I've shown it to, except for one person, thought that it looked really good on the inside with that blue and green contrast stitching. I think it's pretty cool. You're not going to see it in anything else. Now, the pricing we just had flash up a couple seconds ago, it is $1,500 more Canadian and $1,330 more in the US for the 2024 model years. And there are a couple things that have been added. 2 extra airbags as well as the Wi-Fi hotspot across the board for the GV60. And then if you're going with this performance, you're getting 2 things that are new. The Digital Key 2, which allows you to use your watch or smartphone to get into the vehicle, along with the car's biometrics and infrared scanner to be able to get you into the car as well. And then again, on the performance trim, you're getting the virtual gear shifter. I don't think anybody wanted this, but if you are a flappy paddle enthusiast and your number one complaint about electric cars was you couldn't use the flappy paddles to change the non-existent gears in it, well, Hyundai's got you covered because now you can. It simulates an 8-speed automatic transmission with paddle shifters. Why you would want it, I don't know. But if you do, let me know in the comments below. I think it's just a silly gimmick that I don't think anybody's going to use, just like the sounds on the inside of this. You can have different electronic or propulsion sounds as you're driving along. I tested them out. They're pretty silly. You buy an EV because you want an EV, but maybe I'm wrong. But let's touch quickly on the specs on this before hitting the road. This uses 2 160 kilowatt motors, good for obviously 320 kilowatts total, or 429 horsepower. Push the green boost button, you're getting up to 483 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque for 10 seconds, which is more than enough. If you're passing traffic or maybe taking it on the quarter mile, that is more than enough than what you need. It has a 77.4 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery, also has a heat pump, so it's a little bit better in the winter. Temperatures here this week have been about 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, which means we should be starting to see a bit of a range decrease. Genesis says that this will do 378 kilometers or 235 miles when it's fully charged in ideal conditions, and we're still seeing that if you're in eco mode, even with the slightly cooler temperatures. But we know when it comes to winter here in Canada, you're going to be losing maybe 40% of your battery. But keep in mind the performance gets less overall range because the electric motors are more powerful. So that's the trade-off. Some people might like that, some people might not. And the last thing we're going to touch on is the charging capabilities on this. Genesis says that you can go from 10 to 80% in 18 minutes at 350 kilowatts. We don't have anything that fast here in Ontario that I know of. Fastest we have even in this area, London area, is 50 kilowatts. That would take about an hour or so to go from 10 to 80%, which would cost me about $25. You'll definitely want to go and get a level 2 charger. But this also does have the vehicle to load or V2L setup, which allows you to charge devices by plugging in the adapter, and then you can plug in your device to the car and be able to use the battery on the car to run your devices, which could be useful in a number of situations. But I want to hit the road, talk about this car on the drive, talk about everything else about it, and why you might want to consider this at about $83,000 Canadian, and everything else there is to know about the 2024 Genesis GV60 Performance. On the road in the Genesis GV60. So this is a smaller compact luxury crossover. definitely more in line with like a subcompact, but yeah, I'd say that pretty decent space in here overall. Genesis has designed it to be a little bit more coupe oriented, so you can see that the trunk space isn't quite as large as it would be on other compacts. And again, keep in mind a vehicle that James just drove, which was the Genesis GV60 electrified, is an electric vehicle, is a crossover, is a Genesis. It's bigger, costs, you know, kind of about the same, but it is a bigger vehicle, but not a dedicated electric vehicle platform like this. So where you're seeing, as I said, about 300, right now 349 kilometers in sport mode with 96% battery. Eco mode brings me up to 371, and then comfort mode into 360. So yeah, we're losing about 10 kilometers when you go into the different drive modes. And then even if you turn off the HVAC stuff, I mean, if I turn it off right now, nothing. There's no difference. I've got it in driver only mode, which is something that we always appreciate from Hyundai and Kia and Genesis. They all like to have those modes even on some of their non-electrified vehicles. It's always nice to have. So weather here has been pretty decent. You know, it's 16 degrees Celsius right now, so typically I would probably just turn off the HVAC and have the windows down, but it doesn't seem to make that much of a difference. Now, I'll mention that I drove home. My original drive home now is 175 kilometers, which is what, like 120 miles, 100 miles or something like that. Like, that's my drive from picking up these vehicles to coming back here. So it's a lot. It's a lot of driving. I had some range anxiety, which we'll actually be talking about in a separate video. We're really just focusing on the Genesis here, but it did the job pretty well. I mean, I had 80% charge when I started off, came home, had 30% charge left, so used up about half, you know, 50% overall, 175 kilometers. It's, you know, kind of what we would expect to see. Now, you're going to get more if you're driving in town. We always hear from our EV viewers out there who get much better energy efficiency or much better range than we do. Everybody's different. Every location, you know, the geography will play an impact, the climate will play an impact. But when it comes to our overall energy efficiency, being the first electric that I am testing here in St. Thomas, we averaged 20.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is not too bad overall when you consider it, kind of right in line with what this car should be doing. Again, it was pretty much in eco mode the entire time, a little bit of no HVAC here and there just because I didn't need it, but you know, for our testing purposes, we do like to try to keep it on as often as we can so that we can get a pretty good idea. But I'll be honest, with the range and distance I have to drive now, it's going to be a little tough. But let's talk about the looks department when it comes to the GV60. It is cutesy. I like the exterior, kind of cute. Right, front end is kind of what Genesis is doing, but just slightly different, a little bit smaller. This is kind of like the Pikachu of the Genesis lineup. It is a nice design overall, and everybody, again, as I said, that I've shown this off to has liked the looks of it, and the size is pretty decent for what you need out of a vehicle. I mean, a family of three, such as myself, this is good as a daily driver, getting around, doing groceries, things like that. Pretty much everything that we'd be doing within a 400 kilometer radius of where we live can be done with this, and space is pretty good. So I like the exterior. You got the charging port at the back. It's electric, so it pops open, you plug it in, the car talks to you. When you plug it in, it'll go charging started. And one thing I actually do appreciate, it lets you know if you've forgotten, say, a wireless charger, or if one of the windows is down, it does let you know, along with the rest of the neighborhood. I have it on the lowest volume setting possible, and I feel it's still kind of loud, but whatever, gets the job done. But inside is also pretty good. I mean, it's similar to what we've seen on other Genesis vehicles. You know, updated infotainment system here works extremely well. I like it. There's a lot that you can do with it. There's different settings, different EV specific settings, you know, pretty much everything that you would want is there. You've got your driver cluster screen, works very well as well. Steering wheel, everything you'd want. You've got your paddle shifters. If you want to use that stupid shifting mode, I think it's dumb, but I use it for the brake regen. It's on automatic mode, so car in front of me here, it will adapt the regen to slow down as we come to this roundabout, and I can apply more if I wanted to by hitting the paddles or decrease it if I wanted to. So I just like using it as an electric. I'm not buying an electric car because I want a gas performance vehicle or I want something that feels like a gas car. No, I want an electric. So all that stuff, throw it out the window. I like it that it's quiet in here. I like it that there's no shifting. Like, come on. I don't know. You let me know in the comments, like I said. Is that a feature that you're interested in? But the rest of the car has been quite enjoyable to drive. And I've also enjoyed the performance out of it too. This boost button is the magic secret sauce. It gets you that extra power. Day-to-day stuff, even in sport mode, you've got ample power. So let's say, I'm gonna slow down a little bit here. Oh yeah, let's increase that braking maximum. So we're gonna coast here. You can see we're doing like 30, full throttle. Whew. Oh, and everything in the back is gone. That's just normal, right? We haven't done boost yet. So if I put it into boost, oh my God, that is ridiculous. Oh my God, the amount of torque there, woo, that throws you right into in the back. And yeah, you know what? It's good that it only lasts for 10 seconds because you could easily use up your battery very quickly doing that. I know they call this the performance trim, but you don't need it all the time, okay? I used it twice on my drive home, and this is actually the third time I've used it in the entire week I've had it because, again, I'm buying an electric car because I want to be economical. Yes, this is the performance trim, so you're getting all the features and more performance out of it, but you know, I'm driving it to save fuel, save money overall. I don't need to be hitting that button all the time. I don't need all that performance. I used it twice on the highway to pass really slow traffic, and the thing that I like is, look, if I'm in eco mode, which is honestly how I drive this car all the time, and I need a bit of performance, hit the boost button instead of cycling through the drive modes. That makes more sense. So yeah, it's great that it's there. It's a lot of fun, but you don't need to have it all the time. And I like that it's like a little treat, right? I've saved quite a bit of fuel today by not driving my other car, so I think I can have a little bit of fun by pushing the boost button a couple times. That's how I like it. Now, there's some other things too about this car. Very quiet, handles really well. You know, everything that you would expect from Genesis as they've been rolling out their vehicles. You know, they have been doing a fantastic job coming out with luxury class vehicles that can compete directly with the Germans. So there's a lot to like about it. I mean, the interior here, again, quiet. You've got the Alcantara headliner. You've got different trim pieces throughout, you know, this metal type weave here, leather. You've got Alcantara parts in the seats. Everything is really good. It is a nice cabin. Plus, the 17-speaker Bang & Olufsen system sounds really good as well. But nothing sounds better than the sound of silence. So, boost mode, it is ready. We'll do a bit of a dig here. Oh my God. Whoa. 100. Oh man, that's quick. That is really, where's the lanes? There's no lanes here, car. We're not going out of them. That was insanely fast. There's, again, no reason, day-to-day reason that you need to go quite that quick, but boy, is it fun. And I mean, you can just hit it again, and you've got all the power. Oh, you hit it again, turn it off if you only need it for a couple seconds, right? It is fun. It is expensive, but it is fun. And you know what? We think about some of these cars, you know, these electrics that are coming out now. What does this directly compete with? There's not much on the market, right? You know, maybe the Cadillac Lyriq, that is a bigger vehicle. Maybe the BMW iX, again, bigger vehicle, much more expensive. Yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot more electrics coming out over the next little while. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a Genesis, you're looking for the ownership experience, right? You know, the idea is that they come to you and do all the service and everything, so you don't have to worry quite as much about your vehicle ownership. Then Genesis is definitely a great option for you. If you don't live in that sort of 50-kilometer area here in Canada to get all the fun services that come with it, then the Kia EV6 GT or the Hyundai Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6 are going to get quite a close experience here without spending nearly as much, because this thing doesn't get any rebates. At this price point, we're paying full pop for it. And yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a pill to swallow, $83,000 for an electric car with under 400 kilometers of range. So for what it is, you know, this sort of stepping stone to the next generation of electric cars. You know, we've been testing them here on TestDrive for quite a while now. You know, this really is the end of this generation of these sub 400 kilometer cars. The next generation is going to be 500, 600, 700 kilometers, and once we get to those, you know, it's going to start to get pretty serious. But if you are in the market for something that is, you know, looks good, different, and you know, a lot of fun, then the Genesis is certainly a great option for you. There's no doubt about it. I've enjoyed my time with it quite a bit. I don't want to be giving this one back, although I do have to, and then I do have to figure out how to charge it, because, you know, unlike other vehicles, you gotta charge it somewhere. Oh, some wheel spin. Oh, buddy. I mean, that's just It's insane. It's insane. I mean, I'll leave you guys with one more. Come on, like how can we not, right? We're gonna do from a stop. I mean, even though that last one was in boost mode as well. Oh my God. Oh yeah, there we go. Leaving a little bit of tires on the pavement. Oh buddy, I mean, that is insane. I'm gonna have fun this weekend because my parents are coming in from out of town and they haven't really driven an electric car before. So I think I'm gonna have fun showing this off to them and putting it into boost mode and seeing what they think. But I do like it. But that about does it for the Genesis GV60 for 2024. If you have any questions about this car, as always, leave a comment below. We do try to get back to you as quickly as we can. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. It helps us out. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Until next time, thanks for watching and take care.